Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to Iron on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. I'm your host, Gregory Iron. This is episode 230. Oh, Lordy. That was supposed to be Oh, Lordy, but I had to rhyme it with 230.
There's definitely other words that you could have thought of. Flirty, dirty, hurdy. Think about that. You could have done hurdy because Aaron's hurdy right now.
He is hurdy. But all those words are too easy.
So you went with one that doesn't exist. Okay.
Yes. Well, like any good rapper, I just try to change the sound of the word to make it rhyme.
Yeah, those are the good ones.
Though I'm not known for my rapping, so
yeah, maybe don't do that again.
Shout out to my boy Aaron, who's not with us again, recovering from his leg injury at home. We love and miss you. I will send an alpaca over to your house to sniff your mustache. Don't worry. I've already paid the $5. You have nothing to worry about, my friend. Today it's just me and Sean Flash Robbins, my producer. Hi, buddy.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
What's new?
Not much, man. Not much. I went to the one deadMan show.
Wait, did you?
On Friday, and there was stuff that one of the people in the crowd was asking about CM Punk and everything. Mm-hmm. And wait, were you there?
I was there. In fact, that's what I wanted to make the subject of this episode today.
No shit.
Yeah. Huh.
I actually wasn't there. I was lying. Do you think you could forgive me?
I don't know.
What if I say please?
I don't know.
Well, how about you know what? Maybe it will make you feel better if you tell us about your fun experience seeing the one deadMan show. Was
it a fun experience?
Well, I don't know. You tell us.
Did I say it was a fun experience?
No, you didn't. But I thought, you're a big mark for Mark, and maybe you enjoyed it because of that.
I do enjoy some mean Mark, and I will talk to you about the Undertaker one deadMan show in depth today. If you want to get a condensed version of my review of the experience, you can go over to YouTube, subscribe, and check out the full review that I did. It's about 15 minutes in length. There's some visuals to go along with the audio because it's a video. And from what I understand, that's how videos work on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's how they work. They show you several pictures in a second, 24 to 30 usually. Okay. And then there's audio that sort of syncs up with what you're seeing to make it look like you're in real life seeing a person talking.
Yes. And so this YouTube thing is something we're trying to get in on the ground floor with. And so you should subscribe and watch some of the content that we have over there. And we have more content in the future. And if you want even more video content is what it's called?
That's what I'm calling it.
You got to go to patreon.com/Iron Wrestling and sign up. And you're going to want to sign up regardless, because even if you're not going to pay the $5 for the extended video content, the behind-the-scenes footage, we're going to be taking the audio version of the podcast exclusively to patreon.com/Iron Wrestling starting in December. No more iTunes, no more Spotify, none of that shit. You got to go to Patreon. So you're already listening for free on iTunes or wherever you download podcasts. Go sign up for the free tier over on Patreon. And then, heck, maybe you might see something that you want to pay for. I don't know. It could happen. It could be a thing. There's a bunch of tiers you could choose from. $3, you can get all the extended and bonus audio in the archives. $5 gets you all the video. $9 means you get to ask exclusive questions before anybody else. You get to pick podcast subjects. You're going to get your name in the credits when we start creating more of this video content. And most importantly, you get involved in an exclusive Zoom chat that we do once a month, which I'm going to talk about things that I never talk about on the podcast, and I never will. Kind of like the one deadman show. I feel that's sort of the theme, right? You got to be there in person because they don't allow cameras or anything like that. So it's like, you feel like you're in on something special. And patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling is a place to be. Make sure you also follow us on social media at Iron on Wrestling and all that good stuff. Now that I've rambled a little bit, before I go into the one deadman show, can I tell you a little bit about my weekend, Sean?
I would love that.
Well, it started by going to the Undertaker One Deadman show, which was enjoyable. And again, we'll elaborate on that in a few here. Can you imagine how my night got ruined when I realized, after leaving the Agora near downtown Cleveland, I went back to my buddy Ron's house, and I'm about to get in my car and go home. I reach into my fanny pack, which I wear all the time. They're pretty big fanny packs. They are convenient for several different assorted items. And as I'm going through my fanny pack, I can't seem to find my car key. You would think, because I own several fanny packs and I wear them, I would have placed my car key in there. But no, I placed it in my hoodie, and then I tied the hoodie around my waist so I could show off my bootleg Undertaker SummerSlam 98 Highway to Hell shirt, because I thought someone would tap me on the shoulder during the event and go, "Hey man, dude, you're awesome for wearing that shirt." That never happened. But I just proceeded to lose my car key somewhere in the Agora. And thank goodness the Agora called me today to tell me after 3 days that they didn't find my key. So that's nice. I really popped huge when I was getting a phone call from them, and I thought, like, great, surely they found my key, which, by the way, my house key has a kitty cat on it. And
What's a titty cat?
Kitty.
Oh, you said kitty cat.
Kitty cat.
Not like a breast with cat ears.
No,
okay.
no. But we're going the adorable route here. Though I do enjoy a good breast every now and then.
They're very adorable.
I was mad that I had lost my key. In fact, I dropped to the floor in my friend Ron's house, and it was the angriest I'd been in a while, and I just pounded on his carpet with all my might, and it said, "Why am I so dumb? I wear fanny packs!" And then I looked up to the sky, and I said, "You know what? Just calm down. Just call the Agora. Maybe they found it." No one picked up, so I left a voicemail, because even when I'm distraught and angry, I still have to be somewhat weird. And so I say on the phone, "Hi, my name is Greg Smith, and I believe I lost my keys tonight while watching the Undertaker One Deadman show. They're going to be kind of difficult to find because it's only 2 keys. It's a car key and 1 key for my house, which is in the shape and the look of a white kitty cat. And I hate that I'm saying kitty cat key in a voicemail to you guys, but that's what I carry on me on a regular basis, unless of course I lose it because I don't know how to take care of my personal property. So if you could call me back at my phone number, and then of course I said my phone number, and that would be great. Kitty cat key.
Say it again.
I'm sorry, what?
Say the phone number now. For the fans who want to call you.
867 5 309. Okay. So yeah. So I lost my key. So have you ever lost a car key before? Like a key fob?
Are you asking me or are you asking people?
I'm asking you.
Below?
I'm asking you. Oh, well, they could comment below.
Yeah, comment below. Have you ever lost your key fob? I have not.
Okay.
I have an extra one, though. So if I did, I would just get that.
I had an extra one, too. I lost that last year by putting my key in my hoodie at Cedar Point. So you would think that I would have learned my lesson. And I thought to myself, you know what? Just buy an extra key, Greg, even though you know it's a couple $100. Buy an extra key. But I said to myself, what are the odds? I mean, how dumb would I have to be to lose both of my car keys? I go around calling to see where I can get a cheap key. You know, I called the dealership. Do you know what the car dealership told me for the price of a replacement key for my vehicle without a copy?
What?
Take a guess. What do you think the amount, like an unreasonable amount would be for a car key? But like not like ridiculous though, right?
Like not like $1 million.
Yeah. Like how much do you think that would be?
$2,500.
That's too ridiculous. Why did you go with such an absurd number?
Well, all right, let's start over. We'll edit that part out.
Okay.
$2,000. All right, we're gonna edit that part out too.
They
$1,000.
They shot me a price of $800.
Jeez. Okay, hold on.
And
$1,000.
Okay, you're close. $800, and even though that's an absurd amount of money, I couldn't even have the key that day. They said I would have to wait 2 to 3 weeks.
That's crazy.
So I called around the city. I found a freaking key guy, and it cost me $229, which after I heard $800 was much better, and it took 30 minutes to make. So
wow.
That happened. I wrestled at Mega Championship Wrestling, which was nice on Saturday night. And, you know, I always enjoy going to Mega. It's close to home, and it's always a good time. They have a lot of good up-and-coming students. The company has done a lot of growing over the last few years, and it's always something that you should check out. If it's in your neck of the woods in Northeast Ohio, make the trip to Mega Championship Wrestling. Other than that, I just hung out, edited some videos, and now I'm doing a podcast with you.
Well, wow. I see. That's where I've started knowing the story from firsthand.
Yeah.
But I have a question for you, and
Sure.
I think a lot of wrestling fans are dying to know.
Okay.
Who's your dream opponent, and what's the best match you've had? Because ever since last week's episode, I've had about a week to think about it, and I've come up with these 2 really good, hard-hitting wrestling questions to ask you that I know you've never been asked, and I know nobody knows.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I'm going to be honest with you, I've been asked that a lot.
Get out of town.
In fact, it seems like that's a question just, you know, most fans will ask first. Kind of like when you're at the Undertaker one deadman show and you've paid $350 for VIP seating, so you're also allowed to potentially ask a question. And you spend $350 to ask, boy, Undertaker, gee golly williker, it's great to meet you. I've been wondering. I've thought about this for a month straight. What am I going to ask the dead man? And here's what I've come up with. What's your favorite match ever? Really, motherfucker? Come on, dude. So, like, okay. I mean, it's fine because you have to consider that there are going to be some casual fans that maybe don't watch all the podcast and all that stuff. But I would also have to imagine that if you're paying $350 to meet the Undertaker and watch a show where he speaks about some of the things in and out of his wrestling career that he's done, you might have a better match, or a better question rather, for $350.
Right.
I mean, am I wrong here?
No, I think that's you're hitting the nail on the head.
I feel like if you're paying $350 to sit on the floor and see the Undertaker speak live and in person and get a picture with him, you probably might also have heard or had an idea of what his favorite wrestling match is. I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but it's like, come on. So that might be one of my gripes about the Undertaker one.
Not only that, man, but I think any wrestling fan that thinks that that's an interesting question is lying to themselves. Who gives a shit what Undertaker's favorite match is? Who fucking cares?
I mean, like, I guess it could be, like...
Like, I think a good question would be, how good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Is he?
He's real good at Yu-Gi-Oh! From what I understand.
Yeah.
He's been caught wearing a certain T-shirt on the internet.
Yeah, he goes, it's time to duel.
Okay.
Was that good? Did I sound like him? You just heard him the other day.
It sounded pretty identical. You know what? We're going to go into the pros and cons of the Undertaker one dead man show, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
We're to go into a little bit more detail than we did in the shorter YouTube video. What's good about it? What's bad about it? We're going to find out when we come back from this commercial break.
Sir, hello. Dude, they work on guy.
What are you doing? Why are you acting like Race Ramon with his bad form in the Ico Pro commercial?
You talking to me now? Carve you up.
Talk like a normal person.
Oh, I'm here because I'm working out. Oh, from TNT Health, baby. Have you tried it?
We know that Aaron's tried it. In fact, since the start of the year, Aaron's lost over 50 pounds while using supplements from TNT-Health.com. TNT Health is focused on your overall comprehensive health. They help track your eating, your workouts, and your supplements. TNT Health sells results. I use the creatine, the glutamine, and do you think that I'm not using the protein powder? With 154 calories and 25 grams of protein per scoop, I assure you, the vanilla protein powder is great with or without water.
That's how you take your protein. Don't you... Water, dude.
You know, maybe Aaron's right. Use it with water or milk. Go to TNT-Health.com right now, buy any of their great products and save 10% off with our promo code IRONON.
TNT Health.
Your health today,
not tomorrow.
And we are back. And now we're going to talk about the live show known as The Undertaker. One deadman show. Because he was known as a deadman for several years, so now he has his own one-man show, but it's a one-dead-man show.
But it's not even really a one-man show. Because a one-man show is like a play where one person plays all the characters, isn't it? Like, if Undertaker was up there doing Hamlet by himself, then I'd be impressed. But it's just Q&A. I mean, just call it Undertaker Q&A or something.
Well, maybe. I said dead man talking.
That's even better.
And then, like, he just started a podcast, which I'm considering signing up for, to at least try it for a month, just to see what it's all about.
Wait, why do it's on Patreon only or something?
It's a Patreon only podcast, and it's called 6 Feet Under, which I guess is okay, but, like, I don't know. It just doesn't sound like an Undertaker podcast to me.
Dead Man Talking is right there.
I don't get it. But anyways, so starting about sometime last year, The Undertaker started doing these live speaking events. And I really think this spawned the idea, at least, after the Hall of Fame speech that he did a couple years back, where he just talked. He didn't talk for 30 years, and now this was his chance. And I don't know, I think it kind of knocked it out of the park. Like, it was weird at first, but I don't know, I thought to myself in that moment watching it, this guy has some sort of other career beyond wrestling where he's just talking. And I don't know, it was like almost motivational. So I could see him like doing TED Talks after this speech. I mean, I don't know, did you get that vibe, Sean?
No, I didn't.
Really?
No, yeah. I wasn't there.
You weren't there, but did you watch it?
Did I watch? Oh, that?
The Hall of Fame speech,
the Hall of Fame
jackass.
Speech. I thought you were talking about his one-man show.
Jesus Christ.
I thought I revealed to you that I was lying about that.
I know you did.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, first off, they would be called Dead Talks, right?
Yes.
And second off, yeah, I think he could do it. I think if Greg Iron could do motivational speaking, why can't The Undertaker do it? For bikers or something.
For bikers specifically?
Yeah, for like guys who used to be in biker gangs maybe, or morticians.
Okay. Recovering morticians.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so instead of doing like Dead Talks, he's been doing this Undertaker One Dead Man show. And not a lot of info is out there about it. Before I decided to get tickets for this show, I knew there were some reviews online, but I said, you know what? I don't want to look into it. I don't know. Don't want to know what it is. I just want to go into it blind and see what happens.
Yeah.
I will tell you that. So I went with my buddy Ron from high school and his stepdad Mike Ozzie, who I've talked about on the show before. He is a legendary Cleveland figure, at least he claims. He used to get into a bunch of barroom brawls. He kind of looks like Triple H, but he claims he looks like The Undertaker. And The Undertaker's all-time favorite wrestler. So we surprised him with tickets for this event. Ron told me beforehand he had read online, and he didn't read too far into it, but he had read that there was a lot of bad reviews about these shows, saying that it was essentially just a Comic-Con Q&A. So I was like, okay, well, we'll judge for ourselves. So the doors open at 7:30, but the show doesn't start till 9. Now, usually when doors open that early and a guy is gonna do whatever he's gonna do at 9 o'clock, like if you go to a comedy club or something, or even if you go to a concert, there's like at least a band beforehand or like an opening act. But it's like, what do you do for an Undertaker show as an opening act? Like who the fuck is gonna talk or do whatever? There's nothing. So the doors open at 7:30 and you just sit there for 90 minutes. So who in their right mind is going to get there for an hour and a half? There's not much to do. It's not like they have like a variety of, it's not like a WWE event where it's like, I could walk around, maybe see all the merch they have or whatever the hell, like take pictures in front of whatever WWE stuff they bring in. Like it's just one merchandise stand with like 3 shirts to choose from and a hoodie and like some dolls, and you could buy an overpriced Undertaker urn that's like $100 and a $500 Winged Eagle Undertaker belt. That's really it. The program, which I talk about in my shorter video, the program is very nice. Some very vivid, colorful photos from out the Undertaker's career. It was only $20, so I was like, you know what? I'll buy the program to sort of commemorate this. But there's nothing to do for 90 minutes. So, I think me and Ron and Mike Ozzie got there at about 8:15, and even that for 45 minutes seemed like a long time to just sit there. They were playing a bunch of Kid Rock and Metallica, and it was fine, I guess, but a lot of people sat there anticipating what was exactly was going to happen. The stage essentially was just one round black table. There was an urn on it. Occasionally they would dim the lights like something was going to happen, and then some stagehand would come and put something else on the table, a shot glass, Jack Daniels. I guess maybe that was their way of hyping it up, like, the show's about to start. Nope.
Was it like in a WWE show where when everybody's waiting for it to start, you'll hear 100 feet away someone going woo, and then people going woo everywhere?
You know what? No one did woo, but after like the second or third time a stagehand would come on the stage and they were testing lights, we did start to get Undertaker chants. So people were getting ready.
Okay.
And I don't know. It just when it eventually began, they made sure to tell everybody that if they're caught videotaping anything, they will be ejected from the facility. When we came in, they were definitely pretty adamant about putting phones in bags. We didn't even bring our phones in because we didn't want to deal with that whole issue when we were leaving. But I did feel like if I wanted to, I could have snuck a phone in. But also, I thought to myself, could I have brought like a disposable camera? Like, there shouldn't be rules against that, right? Like, what am I going to do? Put pictures of the show? Like, it's like, I don't think the Undertaker's going to be like whipping his dick out or anything. So like, I should be able to take photos.
Right.
He's not going to do anything lewd. So like, I don't know if like cameras, like actual cameras, were banned from the building, but definitely camera phones.
Yeah, it's not a G.G. Allen concert.
Yeah. So I think I would have been good in that regard, but I don't know. So the show starts, and they play Rollin' for about 3.5 minutes, okay? And to the point where we're like, Jesus, just walk on the fucking stage.
Right.
But then a curtain opens, and the Undertaker stand there with his fist in the air. Actually, I was like, okay, that was kind of cool. I just thought he was gonna walk out like a dude, But I saw some limited photos online from like photographers that I would imagine were invited in to cover the event, where like he had a screen that said one deadman show and like maybe a nicer setup. This was very simplistic at the Agora. It was just the curtain and the table and a chair. But I mean, what else do you need for a talking show, right? Like, so he comes out and he's talks about how he likes to prep for these things, and he tries to talk about different stuff beforehand, and this is going to be like unlike any other experience. At one point, after he like makes some jokes and talks about how much he loves Cleveland, some of the places he used to go to, he did do a thing where he, sometimes he feels a little bit like the Phenom, the deadMan, blah blah blah, whatever, all of his nicknames. And then he did a thing where they dimmed the lights and put the lights on him. He did like the Undertaker eye roll and the tongue sticking out, and that got a good pop, because I mean that's what we know from him. He's right?
Playing the hits.
Yeah, so you get to see the Undertaker for a bit there, the actual Undertaker. But there's a lot of Mark Calloway in this show. The first story he decided to go with, which he claims was just an impromptu thing, was a story about the Godwins. And he talked about how the BSK was very all-inclusive before that was a thing. And, that got a good reaction. But the Godwin story, at first I didn't know how to feel about it. Because
it's kind of funny, though. He was like, but back before everybody was woke,
yeah,
I was hanging out with non-whites.
Yeah. Well, he didn't say it like that, but like, and you know what? I didn't think about this because like sometimes I wonder, like, and I don't want to know Undertaker's political beliefs, sure, but when you consider all of the different types of individuals that were in the BSK, I know for sure the Undertaker can't be a racist, right? I mean, that's good to know.
I would hope.
Yeah.
It would be weird. I mean, yeah, it would be weird.
So, but he tells this story about the Godwins, and the way he tells it is something like this. He's in this bar, and Vince McMahon happens to be in the bar, which he doesn't come there often, and he's hanging out with Phineas Godwin, a.k.a. Midian, and he looks across the bar, and he sees Henry O. Godwin. For those of you that don't know, his initials spell hog. Get it? He's a pig farmer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, that's what it was?
And Phineas, he's Phineas I. Godwin. His initials spell pig. So anyways, he looks across the bar, and he sees Henry. And the way the Undertaker tells the story is that I see him, and all of a sudden, he's going like this. And I'm like, oh no. And I look at Tex, which is Midian, and I go, how many did he have? And the culture was different back then, so he was taking something. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, I kind of thought to myself, like, okay, this is the story he started with, and the way he's doing this, it's like the guy is like having a seizure.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's a seizure, and I'm not really smart enough to what a copious amount of pills I'm imagining this was. And if I had to pin it down to a particular pill, the big thing that the wrestlers used to take then was somas. Imagine he took a handful of somas, which is what Phineas told the Undertaker. He goes, oh, that Henry, I got to get him out of here before Vince sees him. So he goes across the bar, and he talks about, what a lovable guy Henry is, and how, when he's messed up or he's drunk, he always wants to tell you how much he loves you. So he's like, I love you, Take, and all this stuff. And so he ends up taking him out of the bar so Vince doesn't see it. And the bar happens to be in a hotel. So he asks him, what room are you in? He says, 222. And Taker thinks to himself, okay, good. Just take the elevator, go right upstairs, put him in bed. And then he goes, at the Holiday Inn across the street. So he's like, motherfucker. So he's got to get in his car and take this dude across the street. And he's like, 350, something like that. A lot of dead weight. Ends up getting him back up to his room eventually. Meanwhile, the Undertaker made sure to point out that this interrupted him not only hanging out with Midian, but he was spitting game on a girl. And just to hear the Undertaker and imagine the Undertaker in like 1995, 1996, just be an Undertaker, but also hitting on a girl in the bar, it's just strange to me, to say the least.
How do you think it would go if you were to guess? If you like do an impression of the Undertaker in 1995 hitting on a girl right now?
Boy, you're putting me on the spot here.
Do you think it would be like, I can make your pussy rest in peace?
Well, see, I wasn't going to get that lewd.
Well, it was 1995. The culture was different.
True, but like I figure maybe he'd be a little bit more of a cornball, and he would say like, he'd be like, I want to take you back to my room, and I want to rest in your pee. Because pee would be for pussy.
Oh, not her urine.
No, not her pee. Unless he's into a pee thing. That might be a thing, man. Because I remember one time, and listen, Nick Dinsmore, if you're watching, which you're probably not, you know this happened, okay?
Oh boy.
One time at the Gathering of Juggalos, he tried to make me watch, which he didn't really have to make me. I would have watched it anyways. But I had to sit with him. He made me sit with him to watch Paul London and Brian Kendrick versus the Young Bucks, okay? And while we're watching this match, he's talking about how these guys do too much and how they need to slow down and blah, blah, blah. But that's not what's important about this story. The important part of this story is the fact that...
jacking off the whole
No, he was not jacking off. He says to me at one point, man, there's a lot of girls at this gathering. Think any of these girls would be willing to pee on me? And I started laughing because I'm like, oh, this is a joke. He's telling me like a joke, right? Like, ha, 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 ha. Like, it's really funny, I guess. And so I was like, I don't know, probably, because, gather your juggalos, haha. Like, I'm just kind of go along with it. And then eventually someone else comes over and, like, starts talking to us or whatever. And he goes, hey, you've been to these other gatherings before, right? And the guy goes, yeah. He's like, you know, like, if any of these girls, like, pee on people? And I was like, sitting there like, wait a minute, I think he's serious, unless he's doing just a really weird joke to multiple individuals.
He's like Andy Kaufman now, and he's doing this sort of weird meta joke.
Yeah, but I think he was like inquiring about having a girl piss on him.
Would you ever feel so comfortable in that kind of a kink to ask people this?
Wrestlers are a different breed. That's the thing, though, man.
Right.
And I mean, even this was, I guess now 10-ish years ago. So I guess things were different back in 2013. But yeah, Eugene wanted the pee, the actual pee, not the Undertaker pee.
If he would have asked you to pee on him, would you have done it?
No.
Wow.
No, I would not have.
If he wanted you to watch a woman pee on him, would you have done that?
No. No, I'm not. That doesn't interest me.
Prude. All right.
I'm not a prude. I just don't like. I don't like.
I don't like watching women urinate on my.
Yeah, you know what? I just like. I'm not a bar guy. I will go converse at a bar.
Yeah.
I don't really like strip clubs. I've been to 2 in my life, and every time I'm just like, I see the work that it is. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
like if I want to watch something get a boner, I'll just watch Pornhub for free. Mm-hmm. Like, why would I go to a strip club and spend money and be teased?
Sure.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't get the appeal, and so I just, when I can go back to my room and play my video game emulator that I always bring with me on the road, I could do that, or I could sit in a room while Eugene gets peed on by a woman. I would just rather go play Super Mario Brothers for the.
But you got to do it for the story. But I guess you still got a great story out of it.
Yeah, I got the story without witnessing the urination.
Yeah.
So
on a person who everybody knows.
Yes.
Like every person who's listening to this knows who Nick Dinsmore is.
Yeah.
And so if you were to be like, and then she peed on him, but he was like moaning the entire time.
Yeah.
That wouldn't. Maybe that story wouldn't be as fun.
Yeah.
Well, so you were saying that you've gone to bars, but you don't drink, right?
Yes.
So, like, do you have any good stories like the Undertaker's got? Because I'm sure you've got to, there's probably drunk wrestlers around that you've got to, like, take care of sometimes, right?
I try to avoid those particular people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I don't, like, I remember one time specifically, like, Drake Younger asking if me and Gargano after an AIW show were coming out to the bar. And at that point, Drake had really cleaned up his act, and this was, right before he's ended up getting signed to WWE. And me and Johnny, we were just like, nah, we got plans. We're just going to Denny's, And he's just like, man, you two are two of the good ones, man. I'm just saying to myself, like, good because we're not going to the bar. Like, we can go to the bar. We're just not going to have as much of a enjoyable experience as we would just sitting at Denny's and eating food. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't really get enjoyment of, like, watching all the awkward situations that involve alcohol. I got nothing against people that drink, but it's just like, it's just not my vibe. And I'm sure if I really thought about it, like I could think of like some things I've witnessed, but I don't know of many scenarios where I had to like take care of a drunk person, because for the most part I try to, my circle is like that of which people are not going to get wasted. So
Right on.
yeah, but yeah, so Undertaker watches Henry O. Godwinn do whatever he was doing while taking pills, takes him up to his room, gets back to the bar, goes back to spitting game on this girl, and then he looks across the room and sees Phidias, and Phidias is doing this. So now Phidias has taken a handful of somas, and he's got to take him back up to his room, which he's in the same room that Henry's in. And long story short, too late, he takes him back across the street, puts him in bed, notices that Henry has puked all over the floor, and at one point in his wrestling career, Henry had his front teeth knocked out. So now he wore partial, and that partial is laying in a pool of vomit. So Undertaker has this moment where he thinks about, gosh, should I pick up his teeth for him or just leave it in the vomit? And Undertaker said, since he was brave enough to lose his teeth in a wrestling match, I could be brave enough to pick his teeth out of vomit, clean them up for him, put them in a cup by the sink, and make sure they're okay. And that's what he did. And I thought to myself, wow, what a good friend Undertaker is. And then by the time he got back to the bar, the girl was gone, and he didn't get any action that night. But that's the sacrifice that the deadman was willing to make.
Wow.
It was a nice story, but it did start out a bit awkward, in my opinion, for the fact that it was, I don't know if it was the fact that it was a story or the fact that it was jarring that Undertaker was essentially reenacting a guy kind of convulsing after taking pills.
Well, it's like, that's kind of graphic.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. Like if I saw somebody doing that in real life, I would be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, getting chokeslammed is one thing.
Yeah. I only want to see my friends doing the Devon cell if they're in a wrestling match,
Right.
actually doing the Devon cell. You know what I'm talking about, right? When he's like,
Yes.
Like, I don't want them like actually seizing.
Right.
So
no one does.
Yeah, so he tells that story, but then I'm like, okay, well, what other stories does he have planned? Then I thought to myself, like, maybe there's like a short Q&A. Like, I'll take a few questions at the end. He did a what he called a deadman Jeopardy thing. What was it called? You watched the little video I did earlier.
It was Smart Mark.
Smart, yeah. Deadman Smart Mark Jeopardy. And I tell you what, it was super easy. And these are questions clearly he did not prepare himself. I'm pretty positive that, have you ever seen the WWE historical guy that they had on like that Lost Treasure show?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that was the guy that was on hand helping conduct the Q&A. Like, he had a microphone on the floor and he would run to the people to have them ask their questions. Pretty sure it was that guy. Couldn't tell because we were a little far away, but regardless, they picked 3 guys. They were essentially in the front row, 2 guys and a girl. And honestly, I really wish he would have done something for this kid specifically, but it was still a cool moment. He interacted with him. One of the people he chose by accident was a deaf kid, and a little bit older, but he was with a parent or a guardian, because, Undertaker said, like, all right, guys, come up here, look at me. And then I think he picked up real quick that the kid was deaf. And so he's like, oh, you can look at her. And so as Undertaker was talking, she's relaying the rules to this kid. And I was like, man, I really want this kid to win. And unfortunately, he didn't get any of the questions, probably because it took him a little bit longer with him looking at his mom or his guardian,
Right.
giving him the answers and whatever. But the dude got 2 out of the 3, and the girl got the last question. I'm going to ask these questions to you, Sean.
Okay.
And see if you can get them. Because I thought to myself, for a smart mark, this should be fairly easy. And even though every question was answered correctly, it took way too long. Like, for me, sitting there, it was like, okay, give me the prize or whatever. Okay, question 1 was, what pay-per-view took place in August of 1996 in Cleveland?
SummerSlam?
SummerSlam 1996 was the correct answer. This dude had to think about it. Like, come on, man.
He was like, no mercy.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Fall Brawl? Was it Fall Brawl?
Right.
Question 2. What was the first time ever match that I participated in on SummerSlam 1996?
Casket match?
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
No.
You want me to get it wrong on purpose?
No, I don't want you to get it wrong on purpose.
All right, fine. Buried Alive match. I'm just kidding, dude. I know it's a bra and panties match.
I hate you.
All right, what is it?
Boiler Room Brawl.
Oh. See, I don't think Undertaker when I think that match, you know? I think Mick Foley.
Boiler Room Brawl happened at SummerSlam 1996. Third question. What was the weapon used in the finish of that match?
A lead pipe? A sock?
The urn.
Oh,
it was the urn.
And was it? Did he pick up his urn and be like, "It was this exact urn"?
No. But I just thought to myself, like, we could have answered these a little bit quicker.
All right, now let me ask you them and see if you get them.
No, don't do that.
Fine.
Each participant won a Undertaker program that was autographed by him, which was kind of nice. But I don't think only the deaf kid. The deaf kid should have got all 3 for making the attempt. The other 2, they took too long to answer the question, so fuck them. That's what I said.
Did get his right?
He didn't get to answer one.
Oh, it was like a sort of whoever gets it first.
Yeah, whoever answers first. Yeah. So after that, basically, it was like, okay, now I'm going to take some questions, and I'm like, I mean, I didn't have a watch or a phone, but I was like, we can't be longer than 25 minutes into the show. So I guess this really is just going to be a Q&A. And they like did some stuff with the lights occasionally. There were some microphone issues, and the Undertaker was getting real pissed off about it. Eventually, they had to get him a corded mic, and there was no problems from that moment forward. Some of the questions were asked, like the first one was, do you think Brock Lesnar should have ended the streak? Like, not the most basic question, but it was nice to hear him like sort of elaborate about it. For a second, which I didn't mention in the short video, he started to shoot on, and I don't know how he got on it, the subject of his retirement that he had to do at the Survivor Series in front of no fans. And he kind of like made like how started to talk about how dumb it was that he had to do that. But then his mic was cutting out, so then he got frustrated and he like moved on from the story. And I was like, damn, I would have liked to hear that.
That's juicy.
Like how dumb did you think it was to stand in a empty arena and then react to fake "thank you, Taker" chants that were being piped in? Like that's weird.
After your 30+ year illustrious career.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, he said he did think Brock needed it. It was credible that a UFC guy beat him, but Brock was made. And I remember when it happened, I thought to myself, A, I'm sad that the streak is ended, but also like, yeah, why did Brock have to beat him? And furthermore, I thought to myself, like after Brock was sort of on like this dominant streak of his own after beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania, I thought, okay, so the goal then is whoever beats Brock for this Universal Championship, he's going to be a made man. It's got to be someone they're trying to establish, because this dude beat The Undertaker, so by proxy, whoever beats Brock is going to be the man. And then Goldberg beat Brock in like a minute. And I was like, okay, well, so we just squandered the streak.
Right.
Now, this isn't The Undertaker's words, but, you know, I mean, what are we doing here? It was dumb for the streak to end.
No doubt.
So
I remember when it first happened, when he first, lost to Brock, how many people were like, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. Well, Paul Heyman has done like some live shows where he's alluded to the fact that only him and Vince and Brock knew that it was going to end, because he said, if the sound guy would have known, they would have played the music right away. Mm-hmm. So not even the sound guy was cued in. Thank God the ref counted the match like a shoot, because can you imagine how awkward it would have been and how quickly he would have lost his job if he went 1, 2, there's no kick out, and he just went like this and like,
right. He would have ruined one of the most shocking moments in wrestling history.
Yes. So he doesn't think the streak should have been ended by Brock. He thinks that Roman Reigns should have been the guy, and crowd wasn't too crazy about that. But then he just sort of talked about how, like, look, he was on his way. The company was pushing him regardless whether or not it was getting over. So why not help establish that by having him end the streak? And, you know, Roman ends up beating him in his other loss at WrestleMania. So why not? Why not have Roman be the guy? I remember when Roman beat him thinking, well, he should have been the one to end the streak. That might have helped him, or at least made him a very hateable individual, which they didn't roll with right after WrestleMania. That probably would have been the thing to do when he came out and he had the silent crowd for like 10 minutes or whatever it was, and he said, it's my yard now, and then he just left. I mean, that's a bad guy promo, but then they didn't make him a bad guy. So, whatever. Another one of the questions that was asked was, who is his second favorite tag team partner? He chose Dan Spivey, which I thought was a good choice. I've heard a lot of stories about Dan over the years, and legitimate badass. Not only did he beat the shit out of Road Warriors in the story that The Undertaker told, where he just assaulted them both with chairs because he was sick of not getting anything in and losing to them en route to a pay-per-view match, which, by the way, they never had because Dan Spivey got sick of WCW, and he just looked at Undertaker one day and he said, yeah, kid, I won't be at the pay-per-view. I'm done. Tell Ole I'm done. Ole Anderson was in charge at the time, and Taker was like, oh, are you serious? You're not going to be at the pay-per-view? Nope, I'm done. And he just quit. I do think there's a lot of potential with Dan as Waylon Mercy. Did you ever watch the Waylon Mercy stuff, Sean?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Obviously, it was the precursor and the inspiration for a lot of the stuff that Bray Wyatt did early on. And I don't know, there was a lot of untapped potential, but unfortunately, you know, Dan's health wasn't holding up. Injuries caught up to him, and then that character got cut a little short. But yeah, Undertaker enjoyed working with Dan Spivey. Learned a lot from Dan Spivey, and also I learned, which I didn't know, that apparently Dan, you know, was more of the Godfather than the Godfather, and had a ring of prostitutes out of the Tampa, Florida area. So that was insightful, I think.
Interesting, because the Godfather was in Undertaker's crew.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was friends with the real pimp, too.
I do know that apparently, since he worked at a strip club, his wife pitched the idea that he be a Godfather. But I find it interesting that Undertaker just wasn't high or something one day and was just like, you know, you should do a Dan Spivey gimmick, like a real Dan Spivey gimmick, and just, you know, pimp women. Would have been interesting.
It would have.
Talked about Dan Spivey. One thing that I didn't talk about in the short video that I forgot about, one of the more emotional moments of the One Dead Man show was when someone asked, what do you think of and what were your experiences like with the late Bray Wyatt? And it was one of the final questions, so it kind of brought down the mood of the show, but it was nice to hear him share a story about Bray and how, you know, like a lot of people have said too since his passing, that, you know, he wasn't afraid to think outside the box and try things that had never been done before. He had so much more left in him. I do wish that person, instead of asking what he thought of Bray, if they would have asked him what he said to Bray on that Raw 30 or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, yeah. I don't know if he would have revealed it, because I know Bray said whatever it was that Undertaker said to him, he was going to take to his grave. But you know, it was worth a shot. He shared a story about when he was working with Bray's father, Erwin R. Shyster, Mike Rotunda, and talked about how Mike really wanted his kids to meet Taker, and if he wouldn't mind meeting him. He's like, yeah, sure, no problem, bring him to the back. And when they brought him to the back, you know, he's all in his Undertaker outfit, and he sees little Bray, who was probably about 5, and little Bo, who was about 3, and he thought for sure both kids were going to be deathly afraid of him. And he goes to crouch down and say something to Bray, and he never will forget Bray walking right up to him and kicking him directly in the shin before running away, and then Bo just turning his back and running right back into his dad's arms. And fast forward 20-some years, and he's working with both of them in the company and wrestling Bray at WrestleMania, and I just thought that was a cute little story.
It is. Imagine if you one day wrestled Johnny's son. Like, wouldn't that be fucking weird?
It'd be weird, also considering that, geez, at that point I'm going to be, I mean, if he's...
How old is Undertaker?
That's true. I guess he's probably like 56.
So, what's the, I don't know, man. It would be like, that would pretty...
Quill's got about
close.
18 more years, so that means I have to be wrestling when I'm 50-something. I don't want to be wrestling that old.
Well, I mean, wouldn't it be weird, though? Like, man, I saw this kid as a baby and as a little boy, and now I'm, like, that's how long I've been here. His whole life has happened.
Yeah, it's strange to think about. Yikes. He told a story about Scott Hall and Scott not wanting to be treated like a job guy by having his arms folded across his chest when he came in as Razor Ramon. And Undertaker, he didn't take too kindly to that. He had an idea that he was going to put a finger on his chest on their second match of the evening, back when they used to work 2 shows in a day. And Undertaker made it seem like that Razor got smartened up and didn't want to have to deal with a potential altercation with Taker, and just decided to fold his arms across his chest when he took the tombstone later in the night. But I sort of interpreted that, knowing the stories about Scott Hall and what a smartass he was, I kind of took it as though maybe it went over Undertaker's head, and maybe Scott was just like, fuck you, motherfucker, I'll just do it myself. You know what I mean? And then, but Undertaker took it like, well, yeah, I'm okay. Well, he's scared.
It's like a nice finish. I can't wait to kick out of it.
Yes. So that's exactly what I thought about. And so, but it was nice hearing a Scott story. He's missed as well. I'm trying to think of what else off the top of my head they talked about. Of course, the what is your favorite match question. That's Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 25, which, how are you going to pick another match other than that?
That's breaking news, dude. That's his favorite match? Wow.
I thought for sure if he was going to pick a WrestleMania match, he would have picked either versus Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9 or versus Big Show and A-Train at WrestleMania 19.
2 5-star classics.
Yes.
That's why I would have gone with 2.
Yes. Best chemistry, he cited a lot of guys he had great chemistry with. Edge, Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, of course. But his best chemistry was with Triple H. And he thinks their 4-match program with Triple H and Shawn Michaels at the 4 WrestleManias was the greatest of all time. I'd have to really think about 4 matches with 2 different guys over the span of 4 years that could be matched up against that, because I don't think it's really a thing. So by proxy, I think it's the best of all time as far as a story arc goes, right? Is there anything else over 4 years with 4 matches?
No.
2 different guys? Don't think so, but I'm not going to disregard the credibility of that. I think the big thing of the show was when someone asked about CM Punk and talked about how he got fired from AEW and seems to be a problem in the locker room, and what are your experiences with CM Punk, and do you think he should come back to WWE? And Undertaker spent some time on this one, and he basically said that, look, I always got along great with Punk, and we had some great matches. We had one of my better WrestleMania matches. But there were some times when he had to kind of keep him in line, like when he wouldn't abide by the dress code policy that Johnny Ace instilled back in I believe it was the early 2010s. So like when they were driving to shows or they were on a flight, but literally driving to shows, they had to be in, a polo and some khakis, which is pretty stupid. So many of the guys would wait until they were like pretty close to the venue and then get in that outfit. But it's just like Undertaker said it himself during the show. It's like, we're like these big, weird, jacked up wrestlers and we got to dress like businessmen. Like, it's just strange, you know? I don't remember why I can't remember why they instilled that policy, but someone must have been wearing some shit that they weren't supposed to, and it made the company look unprofessional.
Yeah.
So Taker walks up to Punk in the airport, and he basically was like, hey, I know it's silly that they want us to dress this way, but, I noticed that you're not wearing business casual attire, and perhaps maybe you should try to dress a little better. To which Punk replied, well, John Cena still wears shorts. And Taker responded, well, you're not John Cena. So, and then apparently Punk after that stepped up his game a little bit and dressed a little better, and that was really the only altercation they had. What were you going to say?
Well, I just think it's funny because he's being combative about this when he brings it up to him. He's the story with Tony Atlas, but then now when Punk is the older guy, he's like, oh, these young guys don't listen to me.
Yeah, it's
like, okay, come on, man, cry me a river.
Yeah. Well, and I think. So I think in the case of The Undertaker with this situation, it's like, I think Undertaker has his opinions on certain things, right? Mm-hmm. But being a locker room leader, it's like, I don't agree with this, but this is the rule. So I'm going to make sure the other guys go with this rule.
Because I've heard the story before.
Yeah.
And I never thought it was like that. I always thought it was like the Undertaker was demanding that he did it.
Yes.
And then when I heard you saying it in the video, I was like, oh, I didn't know. It was like more of like, hey, buddy, I know this is kind of lame.
Yes. Like, two sides to every story, right?
Right.
Undertaker proceeded to say, and he said it just like this, look, if I'm being honest, I think the guy's overrated. Arguably one of the best on the mic, and sometimes with what you do on the stick, your wrestling work doesn't matter as much. The things that you can do on the microphone and tell stories are more important than the in-ring stuff. But I think he's kind of overrated. Do I think he has a place in professional wrestling? Absolutely. Do I think that place is WWE? In my opinion, I don't think it is. And I was like, he didn't shit on him. I don't feel like he shit on him. Like, saying someone's overrated, like, that's just a personal opinion. That doesn't mean you're a bad wrestler.
No, and he also gave him compliments. It's not like he only said that.
Yeah, it wasn't. He was like, he also made. It's important to point this out because I didn't point it out in the short video either. He said, all the time these websites come out with top 5 people Undertaker hate. I don't hate CM Punk. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sure. Punk's always in that list. He's like, I don't hate CM Punk. I don't have a problem with him. Yeah. I think where that stemmed from originally was, do you remember that one Hell in a Cell pay-per-view where Punk and Undertaker wrestled each other in the cell?
Yes.
I think it was for the world title. It was like the opening match.
Yeah,
and
I'm pretty sure it was.
It was like 8 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And Undertaker just kind of beat the fuck out of Punk and just beat him. There was like no heat at all. Yes. And, yeah, I think it, like, around that time is where it started, where it was like, oh, Undertaker must not like CM Punk and thinks he's, like, not in shape enough.
No, I remember that being when it started.
Yeah, so, Undertaker made it abundantly clear that that's not a thing, but I appreciated how candid and real he was, and he didn't try to beat around the bush and say, like, well, blah, 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 but one thing he did point out as a sidebar during that Punk story, which I also didn't talk about in the shorter video because, I'm trying to make those videos short.
Right.
He got off on a tangent about how sometimes you have to do what's best for business. When Jerry Lawler came into the WWF in 1992, Undertaker was pissed. He had worked Memphis back in the day, and he didn't necessarily have bad problems with Memphis and Jerry Lawler, but what he did have a problem with was the fact that Jerry Lawler was just bad-mouthing the WWF. He'd always talk about the various allegations that were happening with the company, the steroid allegations, talk shit about Vince McMahon, and then all of a sudden, Undertaker gets word that Vince is bringing Jerry Lawler in. So one night when they were going out to eat, I think it was Taker and Vince and Bruce and Pat. There might have been someone else, but those are the 4 I remember. Undertaker sort of confronted Vince about this. And also, to me, that's very interesting how quickly the Undertaker really established a relationship with Vince like that to where he could be combative. Like, because when you think about it, if Jerry was coming in like, I think he came in November of 92. So let's say these talks are happening in September or October where Taker finds out. He's only 2 years into his run at the company, So, like, that's crazy to think about. Right. He's, like, sitting down with a beer and a meal with him, and he goes, hey, man, I don't think you should bring in Jerry Lawler.
Right.
And so,
when you think about how, because we all know that he's like his right hand man.
Yeah.
I think it's because of decades of knowing each other, not that it's been this way for decades.
Right. Yeah. And so, basically, Taker says that Vince says to him, "Listen, I know the things that he says, and I know the things that he's done. But if I come across someone and I think that they have something that could better my business, then I'm going to do business with them." And that helped change Undertaker's perspective on something. So that sort of brought him back to the CM Punk story. And he said, like, so if something is good for business, if he's going to help our company, then I think you should bring him in. But I don't think he would be a help to the company right now. And listen, you could take that so many different ways. I think the easiest and most diplomatic way you could take that is right now, for the first time in years, WWE is the hottest it's ever been, and they have many, many guys that I would say are top tier talent to where you could shuffle the main event, and there are so many different guys that are over to where, like, it's not just we got John Cena, we have Randy Orton, and we have a couple other guys that we could shuffle in and out of the main event if we're desperate. Like, there are so many guys where it's like LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso if we need it, Solo, John Cena when he comes in, Brock Lesnar when he comes in. There's so many different guys that you could shuffle in and out of the main event, and guys that are like the Judgment Day. A year and a half ago when it started with Edge, I would have never imagined that I could be like, oh, Damian Priest, like, he deserves to be in the main event regularly.
Right.
Finn Balor, they messed with him so much that it's like, it wasn't, there's no way he's going to be a regular in the main event. But Finn Balor, Dominic, because of his relationship with Rhea, you could put him in main events because he garners real heat. There are so many guys that you could shuffle in and out to where it's like, maybe, whether or not CM Punk is a cancer, some people might call him in the locker room, he's a draw, but I don't know if we need him. Do you just bring in Punk to add another guy to the main event, or do we go to that well when we need it? I don't know. I think that's what Undertaker sort of meant by it. It's like, he's like, oh, but also he said he doesn't think he belongs to WWE. Does he mean that ever, or does he mean right now? I don't know, but I'm just relaying what he said from the show. Your thoughts?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, I do think that that's what he meant. I agree with you on that. And I don't think that WWE needs CM Punk. And I feel like, you know, right now, first off, they definitely don't need him. I mean, they're very profitable.
Yeah.
They're hot, like you said. And Punk, you know, whether or not he is a cancer, he, like, if it was 5 years ago,
yeah,
that would be a whole nother story, but it isn't. It's like, and also with all the drama, whether or not you think CM Punk is the culprit or a victim in it, it still happens. It's still drama, and I mean, who wants that in their locker room? I would imagine no one.
Yes. I don't think there's anything else of note from the show. I guess the way he closed it out was, you know, it was the eve of Veterans Day, so he thanked all the veterans. And also I want to point out that there were a couple times when fans during the show were like trying to get themselves over, because in the Agora, it's a more intimate setting, that Undertaker's been in than a wrestling show in a number of years. So it seats about 2,000 people. At one point, the Undertaker, and there's a couple times he let it go, people are just yelling stuff and trying to get themselves over, right? Because it's so tiny in there. At one point, some guy said something, and Undertaker said, hey, man, do me a favor. Shut the fuck up. And the crowd, like, just started getting all over this guy, because he's like, I'm trying to tell stories here. I can't tell stories if you're interrupting me. Like, what the hell, man? Like, have some respect. And I was like, yo, that guy deserved that for sure. Later on, when he's trying to thank the veterans, he's like, you know, because it's brave men like these people, and then this lady yells, and women, and he goes, listen, I wasn't singling out men, I just meant people. Like, why? He's like, I hate when people interrupt me. Why do you have to do that? Like, I wasn't trying to make it a men or women thing. And so I'm just like, you know what, sometimes you gotta say shit like that, because everybody wants to be mad about something, or like just make sure, like, oh, are you not including me? I just watched this clip today on Instagram, and it's from some YouTube show. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. A guy is riding his bike by, and a group of people want to take a photo, okay? And they stop him, excuse me, could you take a photo of us real quick? Sure. And he grabs the camera and goes, all right, everybody say cheese. And she goes, actually, I'm vegan, so I'd prefer to say something else. Can you give us something else to say? And he goes, yeah, can you say tofu? And so he goes to take a picture. He's like, and one of the guys goes, actually, tofu isn't as good for you as some vegans think. You know, I'm a runner, so I know. And he goes, okay, maybe we just smile. And then a girl in the group says, I swear to God, if one more asshole tells me to smile, and he's like, well, I'm not really an asshole, I'm taking a photo for you guys, and it just becomes a whole thing where it's like everybody wants to be mad.
Right. And that was that video. So you're saying the video was as good as the Undertaker's one man show? I
would say that video was better, because it actually sent me down a rabbit hole of watching more videos from that guy. I had to figure out, like, what is this from? Because, like I said, it was like an Instagram story. Yeah. But would I recommend the Undertaker One Dead Man show? I do think, I don't regret my experience. I wish some of the questions that were proposed to The Undertaker were a little better. But I don't think Undertaker is going to do too many events like this outside of the WWE realm.
So it's a very rare thing that you got to do.
Yeah, and I also listen, some of these stories he has said in podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. But I think there's little moments, little things that you get to see out of the man Mark Calloway, jokes that he tells, just little things that he notices that he'll acknowledge, and I think if you've grown up on professional wrestling and you've grown up watching the Undertaker character, even if you've seen the American Badass version, to be able to get a little glimpse of Mark Calloway, the real guy, what he's actually like live and in person, I don't know if that's worth a $350 VIP ticket unless you really love the Undertaker and want to meet him. But I'm not mad that I paid $50 to go watch that show, because I feel like, especially that you can't bring in any video to record, I feel like you get in on something special that only a few thousand people are going to get to experience. And he's not really a dead man, but one day we all die, and I'm happy that I got this memory of seeing The Undertaker in that atmosphere at some point before I croak. So I would say if that comes to your town, I think you take the chance and you go see it. Get a GA seat. I think you'll be happy. So that's my personal opinion.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Well, I wish you were there.
Aw, Greg.
You blushing? Are you blushing right now?
Well, off camera, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't blame you. Hey, we're going to take one more commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up this bad boy and hype up some stuff for next week. And by hype up some stuff, I mean I don't know what I'm doing next week, but we'll come up with something. Hey, Aaron, why are you wearing this shirt?
I went through my closet, and I could not find one really good shirt with a good shirt design. But if I had a shirt that I could pick any shirt in the whole world that I would wear a shirt that had maybe this band, Metallica, but I want the drummer and the bass player on a cloud in heaven because their granddaddy passed away.
Okay.
And then on this cloud, there's a second cloud, and it's James Hetfield and Matt Justice. And they have fishing poles. They've been fishing. I would have to find someone that could design that kind of a shirt.
If you do need a better t-shirt design, you should probably contact Juan Ortiz and Up the Dead Designs. He's a good buddy. He's been in the industry for over 15 years, and he's made some t-shirt designs for the most prolific people within professional wrestling.
Ellsworth?
No, he has not made a design for James Ellsworth. But he has made designs for Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Seth Rollins, Undertaker. He's even made shirts and stuff for Iron Wrestling. Check out this sweet logo. Hey, Sean, edit in that picture of our new logo with Aaron and myself on clouds with fishing poles. If you need a t-shirt design, a logo for your small business or your big business, or if you want to win over a girl, I've never done that before. If you mention Iron on Wrestling sent you, and you follow his new social media at Of the Dead Designs on Instagram, he's going to knock off $20 of his already cheap prices. Go to Of the Dead Designs on Instagram.
Weebly.
Go to his Facebook at facebook.com/Of the Dead Designs, or go to his website, ofthedead.weebly.com, because Of the Dead Designs is bringing your artwork to life. Well, that's it for this week, and I hope you enjoyed our look back on the Undertaker live show. Like I said before, if it's in your area, I recommend you go see it. But more so, I recommend that you continue to listen to the podcast. But the only way to do that going forward, starting in December, will not be on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. It's going to be Patreon exclusive for the audio. Patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling. Also, you can pay for a buttload of bonus content starting at $3 for audio, $5 for video, $9 for Zoom chats, picking bonus podcast subject, asking your questions first before anybody else on the internet. You can go up and up and up in tiers to where you can get stuff in the mail from us starting at just $25. We send stuff out once a quarter. So we got something coming out in December. You can also pay to be in studio with me. Wow, wow, wow. What a deal. What a steal. Get in on the action. Patreon.com/Iron Wrestling. Make sure you follow us on social media at Iron on Wrestling. Follow me on social media. I'm Gregory Iron on X. Gregory Iron on Instagram. That's not my name. It's actually Gregory_Iron. I lied to you. Facebook.com/The Handicapped Hero. You can book me on any of those platforms for pro wrestling, motivational speaking, or pro wrestling seminars, which I'll actually be doing one up in Canada in the month of December. Looking forward to that. You can find me on ProWrestlingTees.com/Gregory Iron. You can buy my shirts. You can buy Aaron's shirts. Please buy Aaron shirts while he's out. It helps support Aaron in his recovery financially. Buy Iron Wrestling shirts there as well. You can find me on Cameo. Just search Gregory Iron. I'll give you a shout out of some sort. And that's all I got to plug. Sean, do you want to add anything to this, buddy?
All right. You guys could follow me on Instagram at flash_high_noon.
Do you flash anybody on there?
Well, let them find that out when they follow me on Instagram.
Okay. All right. Sounds like a good time. And
also, I'm looking here at the live chat, and they're asking if they could pay $5, right, to the Patreon. If you guys would send them in the mail, because you guys send things out.
Yes.
Maybe they could. This person wants to know if they can get like the hairs from your mustache, like sort of like the shavings. If you would shave them so that they can give them a nice sniff, would you guys consider doing that?
I'm willing to send you hairs from another part of my body that you could sniff for $5, if that's okay.
Let me see what they're. Let's wait. Yeah, they're into it. They said okay.
Not shocked by that. It's probably the same person that commented earlier on my Undertaker video with "show me more feet pics," and I was like, "What? There's no feet pics or video clips in this. I don't understand." But whatever. You wrestling fans are weirdos. I'm a weirdo too, though. So come back next week and listen to my weird, silly podcast. Until then, I must give you a very good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Kiss goodbye. Here we go. That's good.